College Football Update. It's with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Loosemore.
Is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And you see who I'm with, ladies and gentlemen, my guy on this Tuesday evening, host of Restoring the Roar, Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Real fun week of football we just had. Unfortunately, we're getting near the end, like we were just talking about before. But the good thing about that is we get the Heisman race coming down to the end here, conference championships, national championship, all the bowl games that come with December. So there's still a lot of fun to be had.
Oh, yeah.
But it's crazy to think that we're nearing the end already.
I do not want to think about it, Alex. I do not want to think about the end. Oh my! I mean, it feels like just yesterday we were sitting here counting down the weeks.
Yeah,
you know.
Honestly.
Oh, now we're literally almost counting down the weeks till the end of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, like my guy alluded to, we are coming into week 12 of the college football season. Two more regular season weeks to play. Yep. Oh, my goodness gracious, man. Don't want to think about it, but that is why, more importantly, you need to dive in and enjoy these games while you have it. Conference championships coming up, rivalry week coming up, and some of our quarterbacks will no longer be with us.
Now, might be both of our quarterbacks. We'll have to see.
Well, yeah, so some of us have a 5-star coming in on the heels. You know, we don't necessarily have that. But look, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to College Football Update. That's my guy, Alex Loosemore. It's your boy, Sean Spencer. Hey, look, let's go ahead and get right into it. Like we talked about, there was a number of great games this weekend. A lot of things that happened that we kind of expected, and a couple things that we didn't expect to happen. Hey, look, we'll go right to you. I mean, obviously, we're going to touch on another story that is dominating the news, but let's talk about what they should be focused on, and that's Michigan getting the W, getting a win in a game that you at the beginning of the year said this could be the game that we slip up. But you know what? From what it looked like, y'all handle your business.
Yeah, it was a very solid win. Crazy to think that your last pass in the game was like 7.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Yeah. Something like 35 straight run plays after that to end the game. The defense was suffocating so bad they fired their offensive coordinator.
Wow.
Yeah, it was solid. It was everything I wanted it to be. I was nervous about Sherrone Moore going into the game. He was very good. He called a very good game. I was very happy with him.
Yeah.
And nice to just rack up win number 999.
And obviously he doesn't know how and when to say certain words. And when the mic is hot. I was like, I feel your excitement, but the things you were saying, I was like, Sherrone, come on, brother. You know, their team's looking at you to see if you could coach and have an interview like this. And you're going to say, I effing love you, coach. I love you. Yeah. But, I mean, I get the emotion. I get that. That was the game. You're in Penn State. They are hungry. They want to get a W. And you guys just, I mean, the score obviously was 14-9.5, but y'all were dominating. Yeah. Y'all were shutting down that offense. And like you said, JJ didn't have one of his normal games. I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, JJ only had 60 yards in the air, but that's because if you have to run the ball and it's working, then you keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, and just to touch on that, the emotion and all that, not only was it a big time game and essentially an interview for Sherrone Moore to all these other teams.
Yeah.
But with how close all these guys are, to think they waited until you were on the plane to do the suspension. Yep. They found out by social media. It wasn't the Big Ten contacting them. Right. They found out first from social media. And all that other stuff that kind of dives into that. I understand it. And then but I agree with you. It was just like, dude, like this is your moment, and you're adding this to it. Stop.
Yes. Like, yeah. And we'll talk about what our guys mentioning. Some words, if there wasn't already a target on the back, there is definitely one, and it is getting bigger by the day.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But
yes,
at the end of the day, there's only one other team that's had the dominance that you've had over the last several seasons, and it's Georgia. We're going to talk about them. But look, you did what I love. It's getting cold outside. It's getting a little chilly. We know our air attack is elite. Feed the beast. Over 25 carries, over 100, 50 yards?
Almost 150. Got 145.
The guy,
two touchdowns, yeah.
And I think what does it, what kind of makes it for me, especially as a running back, you get that bloody nose. You get that grit, because if we remember, you go 365 days ago, Blake was hurt. Wasn't he hurt at this point in the year? And he didn't get to ride this part out. And you start to look at some of those games. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but it's like, what if he plays in that TCU game? What if he plays down the stretch? So we'll see. We'll see. But look, let's go on to that Georgia game. And
look, my Lord.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm not betting against them. They cruise to a victory against Ole Miss. Was ranked 10th coming into this game. This was supposed to be a contest, Alex. What in the world? Is Georgia just that good? Like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah, they're that good. Ole Miss is a very good football team. That is a top 10 football program. That is a phenomenal team. And you looked at it, it was just their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Yep.
Georgia did whatever they wanted to offensively, and they just moved at will. Like, they just, whatever they wanted to do, they did it. Ole Miss looked solid off the start. Judkins was awesome. They were moving the ball, but they couldn't keep pace.
Yeah. With Georgia, you have to take every single red zone opportunity and score. You have to score each time you get the ball. And like you said, it was, Ole Miss scored first, and then obviously Georgia comes back, and then Georgia gets up 14, and you're like, whoa, here we go. But then Judkins scores again, and you're tied at 14, like, okay, Ole Miss. But then that offense, like you said, that offense just starts taking off, and all of a sudden, it's 28-14 at the half.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I didn't have much faith after that. Like, I was like, Ole Miss, your offense is working. You prove that you can run the ball. You can score. You're efficient in the red zone, but you can't stop them. Like you said, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, they couldn't stop anything. And maybe we're looking at it from, Ole Miss couldn't stop them. Maybe we should be saying Georgia wasn't going to be stopped. I mean, that offense is they're proving elite now. Brock Bowers is back. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, with Bowers back and how solid McConkey's been in his absence, the running game looked phenomenal. Beck is coming into form now. He's playing very, very well for a young quarterback here, climbing his way into the top tier of quarterbacks. I'm with you though. As soon as it hit 28-14 before the half here, I was like, curtains. This one's over. Georgia getting the ball to start the second half. I was like, it's over. Lights out.
It was in the books, man. What else can you say? Like you said, Beck, 18-25, over 300 yards, 2 TDs, and even ran the ball for 30 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
Kendall Milton, who we all know about Edwards. We all know about, some of those other backs, but Milton has been hurt. Not even 10 carries, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I feel like we need Alex here to just say, this is Georgia's world, and we're all living in it right now. Because, the way they're playing.
Until somebody stops them, Yeah.
Okay, buddy. We're waiting. Counting on you. Counting on you, man.
And it's like the fact that we're 2 weeks away, or still 2 weeks to go in the regular season, and the SEC title game's already set. It's Georgia, Bama. Yeah. Both divisions are locked in. We're set for that collision course again. And I mean, you look at the way Alabama's playing, it should be a good game, but it's just Georgia's so damn good right now. Like,
I just don't. I really like when I look at the schedule, and again, we've done this all year long, and we're like, look at the schedule. Can this team do it? Can Kentucky do it? Can Ole Miss do it? Can Missouri do it? And to Missouri's credit, they gave the best effort.
They were close.
They were right
close.
there towards the end,
Yep.
and so you just get to the point where it's just like, all right, let's just bypass this. Let's go to the SEC championship. Let's play the best teams in the country, because apparently there is no other competition in the games that they're playing right now, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their last 2 games here. Georgia at Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah.
That nothing's happening there. And then at Georgia Tech to end the season. I mean, rivalries, you never know, but no, it's not. No. So it's Bama and then playoffs.
Yeah, basically.
Now, here's the thing. The way the playoff bracket is shaping up, there's a very real potential, like I said a few weeks ago. If Bama beats Georgia, there's the strong potential for a playoff without an SEC team.
Ooh.
If you have an undefeated Big Ten team, if FSU runs the table, if Texas goes in as the Big 12 champion with 1 loss, and if Washington or Oregon wins the Pac-12, I feel like that's your 4 if Bama beats Georgia.
Yeah. Now let's stay there. Bama put up 49 against Kentucky. We saw what Georgia did to Kentucky. So we know one thing about Kentucky, their defense struggles. We know about the offense of Bama. Jalen Milroe has gotten better, and I'm not looking at him to torch the defense for 350 yards. I'm not looking at him to drop it in the barrel and throw some touch passes. But if he runs that rock and you start getting performances like he's been given these last couple weeks, I mean, we know that if there's any weakness for Georgia, it is potentially the run defense. Missouri was able to run on them. Kentucky got about 80 some odd yards on them, whatever. But you start seeing some of these other teams that were able to run.
Judkins ran very well on them.
Exactly. 2 rushing touchdowns in the first half. So it makes you think, I mean, if they could keep the ball on the ground, keep Georgia's offense off the field, we know what that defense is. You get a couple turnovers and all of a sudden we're talking about Bama being back on top. So
it's possible.
Yeah.
And Milroe's a good quarterback for beating Georgia. Like, if you're going to do it, you don't need the guy to throw 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and 90% completion. You need a guy that's going to control the ball, control the clock, heavy dose of the run. That's how you're going to beat Georgia this year. So, and it's that outside run game, which a quarterback, you're not running them between the tackles. So, it would be a heavy dose of Milroe, of Jace McClellan, of those kind of guys on the outside. Yeah. And that Bama defense is very good. It's not getting talked about enough. It is a very good Alabama defense. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm still leaning Georgia, but it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Until we see otherwise, it's still Georgia's to lose. But I am really looking forward to seeing Bama at that point in the season. We've been very vocal about the fact that this is Saban's best year coaching, with the lack of big name, notable talent that he's had in years past. Yeah. I mean, I look at Jalen Milroe, and then I'm trying to go outside of maybe Burton at wide receiver. I'm trying to think like, what's the running back?
Jace McClellan. Is it McClellan?
Yeah, McClellan. Jace McClellan. Outside of that, I mean, I'm looking at that. And those are the only names that I'm really seeing right now. Now, maybe I haven't dived into Alabama like I have in previous years, but in previous years I haven't had to.
Well, yeah. Well, and I mean, typically you've got 4 NFL freshman wide receivers,
right?
And I mean, you look at it. The only other big name really offensively is J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle.
Yep.
And then defensively, you've got Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. And really, what other big names do you have on that side of the ball?
Right.
So For as little big name talent as Saban has on that field, and for them to be this well, playing this well, I've been extremely harsh on Milroe. He's coming into form now. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football next year, but he's a solid quarterback this year at this stage in the season. This, in my opinion, this is Saban's best coaching performance.
Yeah. And to be honest, if Saban wants a shot at beating the Georgia Bulldogs in that SEC championship, he needs to take the blueprint of the majority of the game, the Missouri game.
Yeah.
Run the rock, and be able to connect on those passes, be able to be efficient in the red zone, win the turnover battle, things of that nature. What Missouri was able to do.
Get more than one or two stops in a game.
It's funny to say, but it's the truth because teams can't seem to do that. They can't seem to stop them, man. Oh, my goodness. But look, speaking of Missouri, and I got to shout you out, man. I went back and I looked at the tape after Saturday's game, and you were like, I don't think this is going to be close. I was like, you know what? Nah, man, Tennessee can do it. I was wrong, folks. I was wrong. Tennessee got whooped by Missouri.
Yeah.
But I like this. This confirms what we've been saying. Missouri is not just a flash in the pan. They've gone toe-to-toe with the best for 2 years in a row. And now they're really starting to step up on that stage. And I love that. Yeah,
well, and you look at it, last year it was go toe-to-toe with these top teams. This year it's beat a lot of these top teams.
Yes.
Like they're 8-2.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, when the rankings come out tonight, they're probably going to be the highest ranked 2-loss team.
Yeah.
This is a very good football team, and this is a team that's going to be a problem in the SEC for the next couple of years. The way they built this team, Eli Drinkwitz, he deserves to be in the running for Coach of the Year. Absolutely. The way he's built this team, the way they're playing this year. And Scott, I'm not just saying this because you're probably watching. This is a legit Mizzou program. The Tigers are balling right now.
Oh yeah, and you got a junior quarterback. I know Luther Burden is not a senior. Let me see
he's
what
a sophomore.
Cody Schrader is a senior, but we know he's played was it D2 ball where he balled out in Missouri, that area. Look, that is it. That's my guy. I mean, walk on total, like out of nowhere. And for him to have the game he had, like we'll talk about a little bit later, but what is more to me, I'm a big guy of moments. I love that moment where not only the player recognizing the coach and the fans, but those players start to really surround this guy. And at the end of this game, I don't know if you saw this, but they were interviewing Mr. Cody Schrader, and his team showed they love this man.
I don't think I've seen too many. You can point any direction, but look at his teammates. A walk-on. Kind of like getting the Josh Dobbs look from last week at the Vikings. He's getting the same. They'll lift him up. You watch us. Here we go. Imagine that dream come true for that kid.
I love that.
Chills. You see this?
Yeah.
Goosebumps. I mean, I'm just like, come on, man. That's what movies are made for, man. That's what it is. I love that moment.
What? I mean, this as a guy that played as well. Those guys that just bust their tail day in and day out, give everything they've got to it. When they start to see that success, it feels so much better for everyone around because you feel for the guy that it's finally paying off.
Absolutely. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. I'm glad he's getting this opportunity. Hopefully, as we've seen his play progress, hopefully it parlays into, getting some dollars next year, playing on Sundays. Because we've seen he's a tough, hard-nosed runner. And hey, I'd have him in my backfield. I love that guy. Yeah.
And he's a guy that'll absolutely be at the Senior Bowl. And if he's not, it's a crime because he absolutely deserves to be there. And he's going to have multiple opportunities here the rest of the way and through that draft process to push himself up that board and be a big-time player in this draft.
Oh, yeah. So going on down the list, number of other games, FSU was able to pull it out over Miami 27-20. Oklahoma State, one of the teams that I hyped up, got destroyed, and Ollie Gordon didn't do jack in this daggone game. They got killed 45-3. I don't know what happened. Other than I rooted for them. That's all. I don't know what it is. Oregon State killed Stanford. Go ahead.
The 3 INTs for Bowman is a big part of that.
Yeah. But I watched some of that game, and I mean, it didn't even look like they were trying to give it to Ollie Gordon. I thought he was hurt at one point, and then I was like, no, he's in the backfield. He wasn't getting it. Maybe it was part of the game plan. I'm not sure.
And part of it was they just jumped up to such a lead early that it kind of takes the running game out of question.
Yeah. Speaking of a running game and a team that that's up there and needs to keep pace with some of these other teams, we got to look at Texas. Texas survives TCU, and a TCU team that we've seen, has not had the best of seasons. Quinn Ewers' return goes 22 of 33, 317 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. They also had a monster day by Xavier Worthy with 10 receptions over 100 yards.
Yeah.
And then Jonathan Brooks balled out. I mean, it was a balanced offensive game plan, and it worked. Unfortunately, they lost Brooks for the season. What is this going to do for Texas? You get Quinn Ewers back, and then you lose your workhorse in the backfield. They can't afford to slip up. So,
yeah, it's gonna put a lot on CJ Baxter, the backup running back, who, I mean, he was solid, 18 carries, 61 yards on Saturday night, but he's gonna have to be. He's got big shoes to fill. He's gonna have to step in and be a big time player, so this offense doesn't become one dimensional.
Yeah. So and look, hopefully Baxter can come in and pick up the slack, because like I said, they cannot afford to lose going down the stretch. And good to see Ewers back. And then we heard before the show, or you mentioned it to us that Ewers planning on coming back this year.
Yep.
You brought up a question. What does that mean for Arch Manning?
I think he's gone. If Ewers comes back, I don't think he's going to sit 2 years.
Yeah.
And a kid that talented, I don't blame him. Especially when you had all these other schools pining for you to come play for them. Obviously, Alabama being one of them. Ole Miss was a big-time player in that. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of schools that would love to have Arch Manning. I think if Ewers comes back, I think Arch is gone.
Wow. And that, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. You know that these guys, especially Arch, very highly recruited, he's got talent. He doesn't want to sit. And it just, you can only imagine where would he potentially go. And then with Ewers, it's kind of like, all right, now you're going to get a full season. But his issue each of the last couple of years has been injuries. He got injured last year, and that's when Hudson Card was able to come in. This year, obviously, he got injured, and Malik Murphy was able to take over. Can he stay healthy? And if he is staying healthy, do you have a QB competition coming into training camp?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely that competition if Arch stays. I don't think if Arch decides to stay, I don't think it's a guarantee that Ewers starts next year. I think he's the starter going into camp.
Yeah.
But I look at that as a very similar situation to what we went through with McNamara and McCarthy. Yeah. I think there could be a couple games to start the year, maybe not their start of the season next year, but where one of them starts one game and one starts the next, and you kind of just get the feel for where you think you want to go. But, I mean, they start out pretty tough next year, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look it up here to make sure, but I think we play them right away next year. So
talk about a week 0 matchup. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, here we go. 2024 Texas.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, while he is looking that up, shout out to Texas for pulling out the W. They are ranked 7th at 9-1, and like I alluded to earlier, they have got to keep winning. And it could be a major blow with Jonathan Brooks being out. But you have to believe that Sarkisian is going to get these boys running. I mean, we saw what happened, how they were able to perform after losing to OU. And did you get that schedule?
Yeah, I got it here. So the first two games, Colorado State at home versus Colorado State, then in the Big House.
Oh, come on.
Saturday, September 7th.
Oof. Good God.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. Let's see if they can do that. Oof. Man, oh man, oh man. See, part of me hates that this season is about to be over, but then part of me is like, daggone, some of these matchups for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. But again, Texas 9-1, 7th in the country, still alive, still doing it. We'll see what happens with the running back position. Lastly, we have to talk about my squad. Okay, we got to talk about my team. It was a fun. Well, it was a fun game watching the replay. Mid-game,
once you knew it was locked in, it was a lot more fun.
Yeah, man. Oh my goodness, watching this game and first and foremost, I'm gonna do this because if I see a player play his butt off, especially when I was not expecting it, I'm gonna give them credit, even though they play for Duke. I gotta shout out Grayson Loftus.
Yeah,
pretty pedestrian numbers, 16 to 28, 129, and 3 touchdowns. This guy right here, we didn't know it was a game time decision if Riley Leonard was going to play. Once we knew Riley was not in the game, this freshman came in, and I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah,
we gave him everything he can handle. We hit him, we rushed him, we were deflecting his passes, everything, but he just never quit. He kept coming after us. And he took this team all the way down to the wire. And late in this ball game, Alex, I know I was texting you, but when he threw that touchdown pass, I pulled out my inner Alec, and I was like, every year they do this to me. I can't stand this team. I was done. I was living because it was the same problems that we've been having. To your point, we keep having these high-scoring games, and our defense just is running out of gas. And you can start to see it in the third quarter. First and foremost, Duke is a very good running team, exceptionally good with Riley Leonard, but without him, they are still able to run, and they ran all over us. But this is why you have a Drake May. This is why you have it. 28 completions for 342 yards and a touchdown. The interception had me frustrated. I'm not going to lie, because sometimes I feel like there's passes where you're just like, dude, you don't have to do that. But then there's ones where he's getting twisted and falling down, and all of a sudden he just throws a dart to the running back who runs up and scores a touchdown. And you're just like,
it's
and
that same thing of like the oh my God and the oh my God. Like,
right.
There's every team has a player like that.
Yeah. So shout out to him. But as a running back, I cannot take credit away from my running game, man. Omarion Hampton, I've been talking about him all year long. Over 30 carries, almost 170 on the ground, and a touchdown. I am convinced that is helping Drake May so much. Having that running game, it was kind of like with Sam Howell when he had Javonte Williams and the aforementioned Michael Carter. When they had those guys, both those guys were 1,000-yard rushers. Both those guys were balling out, and it helped take the pressure off of Sam Howell. Think about it, Ron Rivera. If we give our quarterback a running game, maybe he'll take pressure up. But you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. All right. That's a college show. But look, what did you say? You were talking to me, took us double overtime to do it. Duke is no slouch, but what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, like, to me, Duke is a very good football team. I know they're not ranked. I know they're 6-4. But this is still a dangerous football team. Like you said, Loftus took it to double overtime. But man, the ability for your offense to just keep grinding, keep pushing, and keep scoring. I mean, Tez Walker went off. That was like, I was flipping between games, and it seemed like every time I flipped in to the game, it was either a big run for Hampton or a big catch for Walker. It was just like one or the other. It was so interesting to watch, just like I said, bouncing from game to game. And I think the break from 2 weeks from now to the bowl game, I think that's going to do you guys wonders. And I think you're going to see a different UNC team come bowl time because that defense is going to have weeks to rest.
Yes.
So I think you guys are a dangerous team in December, January there.
Yeah, and I'm hoping so. And look, we all know that we are living on borrowed time with Drake May. So I just want to see him go out on top, doing, the best that he can. Games like this against our rival, you know what I mean? These are the type of games that you have to get it done. And you want a guy like Drake May to do it because you always have a shot. When they scored, I was like, there's too much time on the clock. I fully trust Drake to get this thing done. And he did. He drove us down the field, got into overtime with the field goal, and then obviously went back and forth in overtime. And it still came down to them missing a 2-point conversion, because I'm not going to lie. When they scored, I was like, all right, here we go. Third overtime. Then I was like, oh, he missed it? Oh, okay. All right, I'll take it. Oh, man, I'll take it. I'm glad we got the W, but took a couple years off my life, Alex. I'm not going to lie.
That's one of those games that'll do that to you for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have got to move on. That was the Week 11 college football scoreboard. Definitely tune in. There's a number of games going on this week into this weekend on Saturday. Really quick, before we move into college football storyline, I have a question for my buddy. I asked him before, but I kind of want to get all of your opinions on this as well as his. Start, sit, cut. You got 3 quarterbacks from your school at Michigan. One is your now head coach, Jim Harbaugh. One, J.J. McCarthy. And the other, Tom Brady.
This was – I didn't think too long about this. This was pretty easy for me. I'm starting J.J.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he's the best quarterback Michigan has had. On the field, in college – JJ's the guy. I'm cutting Tom Brady.
Ooh.
Because the last quarterback, if McCarthy gets into that Heisman finalist for this year, he's the first quarterback to do it since Jim Harbaugh.
Oof.
So that to me was, and I mean, you look at it, McCarthy passed Brady in passing yards before the Penn State game, and with the Maryland game, he'll pass Jim Harbaugh. So Harbaugh's above Brady on the rankings for a lot of those stats. To me, it was pretty cut and dry. I asked my dad, and immediately, same thing. Like, he just no brainer. JJ, Jim, then Tom. It's tough to cut the GOAT, but when you're talking strictly college, he's the one that gets the boot.
Oh, yeah. And I think that is the X factor, that you're talking strictly college, nothing that he did after leaving college, because there was a reason why he was a sixth round pick. He wasn't that highly, sought after coming out of college. But I go with Harbaugh, McCarthy. Now, for me, I go Harbaugh. I watched him play. Okay. I watched him play in college, and I watched him play when he went to the pros, went to the Bears, and then with the Colts, where he came a Hail Mary away from going to the Super Bowl. If I'm rooting against him as a Michigan State player, you hate this guy, because he's a great coach, and he lets you know he's kind of cocky. He's kind of wears it on his shoulder, and as a fan, I love that. Yes, this is my guy. But he's also on the other side. You're like, man, I hate that guy. I hate that guy.
There's a reason I hated Urban Meyer as coach of the Buckeyes. That exact same thing.
Yep. But when you have him on the field and he's your guy, I'll go to war with you. I will go to war with you. And he has that bravado where it's like he's going to go up against those 300 founders. And after they knock him down, he's going to get up in their face and start grabbing their face mask and doing the whole nine. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll follow him. I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that. But look, we got to go on. We are going to move on to college football storylines. And the reason why I brought that up is because we do need to talk about your head coach. Woo-wee. I feel like that is all we talk about. It went from talking about Deion Sanders to now Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. I'm ready to move off the subject, but it just keeps coming up.
It just won't go away. Jim Harbaugh was suspended, as you said. He found out through social media while he was on the plane to one of the biggest games of the year. The way it was done was not right, and obviously they're going to go, and there's a whole case. They're going to go actually have, I think, on Friday and talk to and just have their piece heard.
I believe it's the hearing for the temporary restraining order that was filed.
Yeah. So we want to see. I have a couple of the remarks. Shout out to CBS Sports, who kind of clipped and edited his remarks that he had when he first came out after the suspension was given to him. So here's some of the remarks, and he said some interesting things on the. Once we hear it, I'm going to let Alex say his thoughts on this.
So I'm not going to make any comments about where things stand with the ongoing circumstances because we have a hearing on Friday. I'm going to talk on Friday. Just looking for that opportunity. Due process. Not looking for special treatment, not looking for a popularity contest, just looking for the merit of what the case is. I senior in high school, I had a civics class, and talked about government, justice, and what I took away from that class was that you're innocent until proven guilty. That was 40 years ago. I'm not sick, feel great. Got a tremendous workout in today. Thank you, Coach Sean Lockwood, for that. I'm the iron wall that viruses bash against and shatter. These players, Blake Corum with the nose bloodied, and the emotion of the team, the perseverance, and then just the stalwartness of these guys. I mean, watching, I would have to say, everybody, it's got to be America's team. It's got to be America's team. America loves a team that beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes what the naysayers and critics, so-called experts think. That's my favorite kind of team.
Interesting.
America's team?
I don't like that comment. Even if you felt that way about this team, this is not the right time to say that. Like, I don't like it. I really don't like that. You talked about putting that target on your back, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This is one of those things that keeps making it bigger and bigger and bigger. Right. You look in your division, the NFL, and the Cowboys calling themselves America's team, and the target that puts on their back, and you've got the potential cheating scandal and everything else going on, and then you throw that in there. I was just like, that. When I said the same thing about Sherrone Moore, I was like, dude, come on, just file that away. You want to say that? Say it later once all this is cleared. Found it hilarious when he called himself the iron wall that viruses bash into and run away from. That was a very Jim Harbaugh quote. My favorite one from him is that he, for the longest time, he just actually switched up on this. I think this in that same press conference. For the longest time, he said that he doesn't like to eat chicken and doesn't want his quarterbacks to eat chicken because chickens are a nervous bird. That's been his thing for the longest time. And then in this same press conference, he got into, I changed my mind on that because they lay eggs and this, and went into it. It was golden. I laughed hysterically at certain parts of this press conference, but when it came to that America's team comment, I was just like, dude, no, now is not the time for that.
Right. Well, even like what you were talking about, the rest of it was still kind of like, like, oh, I've been working out and I'm good, I'm fresh. And, you think you were talking about it, like, what? What's going on?
That's Jim Harbaugh. And my other coach is Dan Campbell. So you see get into it with. So, I love Coach Harbaugh. I love what he brings to the table, but it's just like, dude, there's certain times where you just you think before you speak, Right.
Oh my goodness, this is craziness. At the end of the day, it's a 3-game suspension that he will be serving, which basically he just cannot be on the sidelines during the week. Or during the game. On the week, he could be with the team and scouting. So they're still getting, that much needed, guidance and things from him. And you don't need bulletin board material if you're in Michigan right now. Yeah. You're sitting there talking about they're coming after our coach. They're coming after our team. They're trying to take everything away from us. They're trying to take away from us off the field what they can't take away from us on the field. And I know it's sacrilegious in my household, but that just makes me want to ride with y'all, man, and be like, go blue. Come on, baby. I'm with that. Now,
well, the other teams, they're pretty much done. So
look. I might be staying at work tonight. All right, if people hear what I just said, but
if she watches the show before you get home, that door's gonna be locked. New deadbolt on the door. You ain't getting in. Your stuff's gonna be waiting outside the door.
Right. Oh man. Well, look. So we will see what happens and how this affects the team. Like I said, he's still coaching during the week, so the game plan is still being put in. And like you saw, Sharon Moore. They coached during the 3-game suspension earlier in the season, so they know what to expect. This is nothing new, and this is going to be interesting. You want to talk about an opportunity for Moore to be looked at higher than he may have potentially been looked at. There's no Harbaugh ahead of him. It's him. Obviously Harbaugh put in the game plan, but it's Moore who's running it. It's Moore playing it as the game goes by. And hey, shout out to him. Let's see what kind of opportunity he gets doing this. But we're going to see, man. We're going to see. I'm eager to see what happens on Friday, but I'm also eager, like you, for this thing to be done. Let's just play football.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it is far from over. So
I know. Yeah. But look, we are going to end it. We're not going to talk about that right now. We have to go on to something I believe we saw coming a while ago. Yeah. Jimbo Fisher gets fired from Texas A&M. Now, one of the reasons we thought he would not get fired is because of the amount of money that they gave him coming in. And I believe the buyout now is $76 million?
Biggest buyout ever.
Wow. I think that, what did they say? The closest one was Gus Malzahn. It was like 21 million. And that was apparently like astronomical.
That so one of those
right.
Two.
Oh, right. That is craziness. Well, talk to me. All right. Because we know he was 6 years there. He was something like 45 and 25. His first 3 years, I think he was something like 26 and 10. 2020, they got up to 4th in the country. They had talent, but since then, he's been 19 and 15. They currently have a 9-game home losing streak.
Yeah.
It just has not been able to come. And it's not like he doesn't have the talent, because 2022
number 1 recruiting class last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's only been 3 other teams that have out recruited him in those years, and that's Georgia, Ohio State, and that's Bama. So I can't defend you, Fisher. Like, what do you? Is this the right move? Let's start there.
Yes, it is. I feel like at this point, keeping Jimbo Fisher was just beating your head against a concrete wall. Yep. It didn't seem like the players really wanted to play for him anymore.
Yep.
Boosters clearly didn't want him there if they're going to pay him $76 million to leave. And just want to throw this out there. The best job in the world is a fired college football coach. Getting paid $76 million to walk away and do nothing.
Yes.
I'll take that.
In the next 60 days, they have to give him like $19 million. Come on.
Yep.
Come on, man. Let me coach somewhere and get fired. Come on. Good God.
Now, and then the list of candidates they have, well, that everyone else has thrown out there is interesting. Mike Elko seems to be the front runner. Former A&M defensive coordinator, so that fits there. Yeah. There was Dan Lanning. I don't think he leaves Oregon. I think he's more than happy there. Way down the list, I saw Dan Campbell, and I was like, back off. Well, and I don't think he's a college coach. So I don't think he wants to do the 365 days a year recruiting kids for 3 years from now, all that. But it's going to be interesting to see who is that next coach for A&M.
Yeah. Now, their interim coach right now is our D-line coach, Elijah Robinson. And they still have Bobby Petrino on the staff and DJ Durkin at the coordinator spot. So they're going to apparently they're going to stay put. But look, we know how competitive the SEC is. And you're getting paid all that money and you have no SEC championship game appearances to show for it. They're not going to keep you that long.
Well, not even SEC championship appearances. Get this. Jimbo Fisher at a school like Texas A&M, one of the better coaches in college football, one of the top schools for a period there in college football, didn't hit 10 wins in a season. His best season was that COVID year. Yeah. But it was still like 9-1.
Wow.
Didn't get to 10 wins ever at Texas A&M. And that was a school that when they hired him, gave him a plaque with a 20, and then the last two numbers were blank, Texas A&M national champions. That was on his desk that they gave him.
Oh, man.
And, I feel for you. Yeah.
Oh, man. Look, at the end of the day, we've seen it. They never really had a quarterback. I think their last guy that they had was the Kellen Mond years.
Yeah.
Which was after the Manziel. They really never have been able to find it.
And that was Sumlin. That wasn't even.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Fisher never found his quarterback.
He never was able to get that guy. I mean, we go back to their hallmark win when they beat Bama. And that's when they had Devin A-Chain when he returned that kick for the touchdown. Mm-hmm. They had Zach Calzada, a backup quarterback, playing quarterback for them that day. They just never have had any consistency at that position. And, I mean, on one side it's like, well, that he got the axe. But the other side it's like, well, he's sitting there with Ed Orgeron and all of them with a big old cigar like, hey, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't got to listen to these kids and complain and doing this and that. I'm good. So
now he gets to be like us on Saturdays, kick back and watch some college football.
There you go. Hey, you got some time on your hand, Jimbo. When you come on the show, we can interview, buddy. Come on. We got a spot open.
Yeah.
Yo,
we don't quite have the $76 million for you, but
no. We'll give you a high five, buddy. All right. We'll give you a like, a share, and a subscribe. Let's go. Yo, quickly moving on. Zach Arnett also got let go of Mississippi State. This was his first year. He only went 4-6 in this year. But, I mean, first and foremost, he was the coach that came in after the late Mike Leach passed away. And, I mean, just from the start, things were kind of rough. They switched from the air raid offense to the pro-style offense. Then you had Will Rogers get hurt midway through the season. And, and they just came off, incidentally, playing Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M, getting skunked 51-10, which also makes you go back to Jimbo. You're like, wait a minute. You just put up 51 on them, and they fired you?
Yep.
Oof, they really wanted you out.
Yeah. No kidding.
Man. But yeah, Zach Arnett is out, and he has a $4 million buyout. I can't say this is much of a surprise. No. We knew it was going to take time to get over the passing of Mike Leach, and whoever was that next guy it was going to be hard because we still think of Mississippi State and the air raid and Mike Leach, Rogers, those guys. So, I feel for this guy, but yeah, he's no longer a Mississippi State Bulldog. Yeah, buddy. And one more. See that? He was so short. I had a little thing for him, but he's already gone. So we have to move on. A casualty from the game played against you guys. James Franklin and Penn State fire offensive coordinator Mike Yurcich. We have a little clip from his press conference, and then I want to show you a little stat about him that I'm going to ask the question, was it the OC? Let's see this real quick.
Obviously, the first thing is appreciate the contributions that Coach Yurcich made here. Obviously, we made a tough decision that we feel like was in the best interest of the program moving forward. I know there's going to be some questions, and I'll answer some questions, but obviously would like to spend as much time talking about our opponent this week as possible. A couple other things, kind of when you review the Michigan game, turnover battle, we lost. Explosive play battle, we lost. The third down battle, we lost. Sack, we won. Drive start battle, we lost. And then the penalties, we won. Sack battle, it was essentially a tie, but from a yardage standpoint, we won.
Yeah, buddy. So they fired Mike Yurcich after the 24-15 loss. One of the things that he was saying in the press conference was, there was things that he kind of told him. There's things that he said, this is kind of what I wanted to do. This is kind of direction I wanted to go. And he was saying that those things weren't getting done. There were some things he called in the game or even some suggestions he made that weren't coming. They weren't getting played out. So they said it was that time. What do you think of his remarks in lieu of the firing?
I feel like everything he said there was truthful. Absolutely that clip that he said there. And I mean, the one thing I said about Penn State was that the issue with them is the training wheels are still on Drew Aller. Mm-hmm. And this is a quarterback where you gotta, especially a young quarterback, I know it's national title or bust, but you gotta let this kid make the mistakes. You gotta let him grow. I feel like if he was the reason that Aller was still limited, then he should be gone. But he's a solid offense coordinator. He'll get picked up somewhere else. Right. But maybe just the fit wasn't there anymore.
Yeah. And obviously, going back, looking at the videos, kind of looking at, the comments and the articles and the things of that nature. And, one of the questions was they didn't think that he, maybe he wasn't molding Aller in the way that they had wanted it. Maybe he wasn't, kind of guiding him and what's the word I'm looking for? Building him up, but developing. Thank you, sir. Maybe they weren't developing him in the way that maybe Penn State would have liked. And look, we have talked about it all year long that Penn State starts slow. I mean, each of their games they struggled early, and fortunately for them, and a week ago when they played Maryland, they turned it on late, and that defense picked it up. But that offense has been an issue for them, and it shouldn't be that way with the amount of talents they have. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, James Franklin and Penn State fired. Now, I do want to say this, though. I do want to show another stat, and I want to get your opinion on it because you are directly implicated in this stat. Penn State, since the start of last season, James Franklin is 19-0 against all others, but you in Ohio State, he's 0-4.
Well, and not to mention most of those 19-0 are dominant wins.
Yeah.
Like this, they're a top 10 football program in the country. I wholeheartedly believe that. It's just there's 2 top 5 teams in the country that they got to play every year. Now that obviously that changes now, but it's tough that. And I was opposed to this for so long that your 3 best teams, and for most years even your 4 best teams, when Michigan State was up at the top like they were a couple of years ago, your 4 best teams were in the same division.
Right.
That's why I'm glad they're getting rid of the divisions and just kind of just playing ball. 2 best teams will go. But it's tough for Penn State because it's the same thing Michigan went through a few years ago when everyone was calling for Harbaugh's head.
Mm-hmm.
When it was we couldn't beat Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things where you've got to figure out how to flip that switch, and then those wins start coming. But until then, it's kind of tough.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we think about like the Ohio State games in years past where Franklin is able, get the W, and those were the ones that put him up on the map. But you have to have that sustained success. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason why Harbaugh gets so much love is he has that sustained success and is able to keep it moving, man. So, hey, we'll see kind of what happens. But we have got to move on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming close to the end of the show, and we definitely want to talk Heisman talk, but we're going to get to that on Saturday, before the games, and preview all the games and everything we got going on. But before we go, we did want to give our Week 10 game balls. Alex, I'm going to come to you first. Week 10, who caught your eye?
Well, the first one I'm sticking in the Big Ten, that game we talked about for a large portion tonight. It's Blake Corum, 26 carries, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you saw the picture, had that busted nose right up at the top there. I'm pretty sure he had to get like 3, 4, 5 stitches somewhere in there. Gritty performance. Loved what he did inside the tackles, outside the tackles, just kind of wherever he wanted to go, he went. Yep. Phenomenal performance against what was going into that game the top run defense in the nation.
Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, Blake Carr, and those are the type of games that he lives to play, and that's the game that you want him in. And I love that. I love that. Yo, I'm going to the LSU game, and no, ladies and gentlemen, it is not Jaden Daniels, although he deserves.
Oh my God,
he could be our entire game ball for this week, and we'd be good. All right.
Yeah.
The game that he played was amazing, but I had to give it to somebody that benefited from his amazing play. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver for LSU, had 6 receptions, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Everybody knows Malik Neighbors, who's the other wide receiver there, but people pay attention. You remember Justin Jefferson's and the Jamar Chases from a couple years ago, and Terrence Marshall Jr.'s. They're reloading with these wide receivers. Both of these are top tier talent. And for Brian Thomas to go off like this, he's been doing it a lot this year. And that's one of the reasons why Jaden Daniels is having the year that he's having. So shout out to Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver at LSU. Yeah,
that's a great one. And I mean, you look at it, Neighbors and Thomas are putting up numbers similar to, if not better, than Jason Jefferson did that 2019 season there. So, yeah, another elite duo for the Tigers there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who's your last game ball?
Speaking of Tigers, I'm going to a different set of Tigers. We talked about them earlier in the show as well. Mr. Cody Schrader, a guy that's becoming a regular in this segment. Monster game on Saturday, shutting down Tennessee. He had 35 carries, 205 yards, and a touchdown. Also had 5 receptions for 116 yards. That's 40 touches for 321 yards.
Come on.
Monster performance.
Woo! Oof. That's my dude. I love that guy, man. Yes. Shout out to him. He's doing it. He's balling out on the field,
That's
and I'm loving
8
to
yards
see it.
per touch.
Let's go. Wow. Yeah, yo, Cody Schrader. Let's get it, man. Give him some love. I hope y'all give him some love, NCAA. Come on. Some of these awards, they need to go to him, man. And my last one, I'm also going to go running back. I'm going to our guy, Alec Schaumburg's Oregon Ducks. We know they got the win over USC 36-27. Bucky Irvin, their running back, had 19 carries, 118 yards and a touchdown. Also had 5 receptions for 43 yards. We have weapons on that team. You know, Bo Nix, you know, Troy Franklin, you know, a lot of those other pieces. But I really think one of the most underrated parts of this offense is that running game in Bucky Irvin. I think what he does for that offense is similar to what Omarion Hampton does for North Carolina, is it takes the pressure off the quarterback. So he doesn't have to be perfect every game because he can just run the rock and hand it off to the backfield. So, yeah, love Bucky Irvin. Shout out to him, man. And let's see. Hey, they're on that collision course with Washington, meeting up at that Pac-12 championship.
I cannot. Think of that weekend. Oregon, Washington, part 2. Georgia, Bama, FSU, and one of the number of potential ACC teams, maybe you guys.
Whoever,
probably Texas, and man, Oklahoma's looking like they got a shot to climb back in there. Like
that game. Oh my goodness.
Gonna be so many, and that's not including the MAC championships and the Sun Belts and the conference championship weekend is gonna be so much fun.
Come on now. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are saying the season is almost done, but this is the best time of the year. It all is being condensed into these next 2 months where there's just all great football come together. You're going to see some of the best things you've seen, and you're going to see some of these teams that might have struggled all year, that might just barely have gotten over that threshold of 6 wins, and they're getting opportunity. And some of these teams that are 6-win teams, they play their butts off because they know all cameras are on them. So I love that. Yeah, buddy. Alex, another good one down, buddy. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you sitting here watching us, being with us, talking some good old college football. I want you guys to stay tuned. Right after this, we have Let's Talk Football, the round table. They will be coming on talking about the Ken Dorsey firing.
Yeah.
Buffalo. What's going on there? I know somebody on the end of it. Oh no. There's a lot of people that might be getting the axe. And on the other side, shout out to Tina because her Broncos 3 wins in a row. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting to put it together.
Let's see. It's a long season, ladies and gentlemen. A long season. So look, we got to go ahead and get out of here, and we appreciate you guys spending time with us. For my guy, Mr. Alex Loosemore, who will be running Restoring the Roar.
I'm recording it tonight to play tomorrow. I'm busy tomorrow, so I'm going to record it tonight to play tomorrow.
There we go. So definitely out for that. I will definitely share that. And then the round table tonight, Washington Football Weekly tomorrow. No ladies takeover on Thursday. The ladies, I think 2 or 3 of them will be out of town, so they will not be having that show. So stay tuned. We got a lot of great stuff, but we got to get out of here. For my boy, Alex Loosemore, it's your boy, Sean Spencer. Welcome to the College Football Update. We'll see y'all next time. Hopefully not having to talk about this man's coach again. Another week.
Yeah, again and again.
Right. But we'll see. Peace, people.
College Football Update. It's with your host, Sean Spencer. Hey.